Hey Canucks fans, let's talk about where Elias, Pettersson, and Quinn Hughes rank compared to other young players in the league. I'm Clay Emo, I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter, I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram. I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club. And this is my Canucks take, all in one take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Friday, October the 23rd. This is where you get Canucks insight that's positive and timely. Quick feedback, thank you for your feedback to my video on Jake Virtanen yesterday. The news, 2 years, $5.1 million, 2.55 per season, avoiding arbitration. And I put out a poll right after I did my vlog from yesterday saying, how do you expect Jake to do with consistent minutes in the top six? And I gave 4 options, say he'll thrive, he'll do well, he'll struggle. This isn't a good idea. Got over 600 votes, and it's actually very evenly split. 19% of you saying he'll thrive, 36% of you saying he'll do well, 26% saying he'll struggle, and 19% saying this isn't a good idea. So it's interesting. 19% saying he'll thrive, 19% saying not a good idea. So take those out. Then you're really looking at 36% saying he'll do well versus 26% saying he'll struggle. So, you add up the 19, 36, 55% think he'll do okay on the good side, 45% of you saying that he won't do okay. So certainly not a slam dunk by any stretch of the imagination. It kind of speaks to what I spoke to yesterday. Maybe polarizing might be the right word, but it seems a little strong, but he's certainly one of the most talked about players, if not the most talked about player here in the market. And I talked about all those reasons why yesterday. Okay, you guys know I'm a sucker for lists, especially when it comes to league-wide lists. And you know that I'm a sucker for when Canucks are ranked highly on those league-wide lists, because as I've talked about many times before on this channel, it's a recognition around the league by other media, by other fans, by other players, by other management staffs, that the Canucks are certainly up and coming, and there are a lot of good things going on here. Obviously, we're not perfect. That's why there's so much fighting always on Canucks Twitter. But today I want to talk about a list that came out in The Athletic yesterday by Corey Pronman. Pronman is one of the prospects experts, drafting experts at The Athletic. And he did a list of 155 players. I'm not sure why he did that. Maybe 5 times 31. Does that make sense? Maybe 155 players, so 5 rounds worth of the best players that are under 23 years old as of September 15, 2020. Can't remember the reason why I use September 15. Maybe because that's usually the cutoff before really the next season starts, preseason and blah, 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 in a typical non-COVID year. So again, the criteria was you can't be 23 years old as of September 15, 2020. And the reason why that's important is because number 1 on that list was Austin Matthews. And you say, well, how on earth does that guy make it? He's a little old, right, for that list? Actually, Austin Matthews turned 23 years old on September 17th. So he made the cutoff by 2 days, basically. So the top 15 is number 1, Austin Matthews. Number 2, Rasmus Dahlin. Number 3, Elias Pettersson. Number 4, Alexis Lafreniere. Number 5, Matthew Tkachuk. Number 6, Andrei Svechnikov. Number 7, Patrick Laine. Number 8, Jack Hughes. Number 9, Kaapo Kakko. Number 10, Quinton Byfield. Number 11, Quinn Hughes. Number 12, Brady Tkachuk. Number 13, Kel Makar. Number 14, Miro Heiskanen. And number 15, Tim Stützle. So it's interesting that actually 3 players drafted. Well, I guess this makes sense. The top 3 players drafted in this past draft just a few weeks ago are at number 4, at number 10, and number 15, respectively. So what stands out to you about the top 15? Well, a few things. To me, there are 2 Vancouver Canucks in there, and that's pretty cool. The only other team to have 2 players in this top 15 are the Rangers with Lafreniere and with Kakko. And it makes sense. The Rangers actually have 9 players. The Rangers and the New Jersey Devils have 9 players each, I believe, on this top 155 list. And that's really, really good. And that makes a lot of sense. Both teams have been pretty bad, yet their prospect pools are lauded and looked at as really strong. But for the Vancouver Canucks to have Elias Pettersson at number 3 and Quinn Hughes at number 11, let's talk about both of those. And it's kind of fitting that I'm talking about them today, because yesterday I talked about what future contracts might look like for both of them. And thank you for your wonderful feedback in the comment section on my vlog yesterday. So Pettersson, number 3, you can't say he's better than Austin Matthews right now, but he was listed as not generational, but the next tier down as a special NHL player. And we know how blessed we are to have him. We know how good he is. We know that him and Hughes have basically sped up our rebuild. And the one thing that Pronman talked a lot about was how dangerous Pettersson is in the offensive zone, how he can shoot, how he can deke, how he can pass, how he makes kind of things slow down. He can make quick decisions and stick handle in really tight corners and tight corners and quarters, as we've seen. Good snapshot, good wrist shot, slap shot getting there. Said his skating was a little wonky, but we knew that. But overall, third overall of all NHL players and prospects, well, all NHL players, I guess, those drafted under the age of 23. I'll take that. And I have no issue where he's at, especially when you have Austin Matthews number 1 and Rasmus Dahlin, who was the number 1 draft pick in the 2017 draft, the draft that Pettersson got picked 5th. You can't argue with that as well, given all the skill set that Dahlin has. We just don't see him a lot because he's in Buffalo. So then, I'm not going to go through each of these, though. You go Lafreniere, like I said, Kachuk, Svechnikov, Line, Jack Hughes, big surprising, Capo, but maybe those were the top 2 in the draft last year. Quinton Byfield, and then you have Quinn Hughes, who was number 7 in the 2018 draft. And when I look at this, I think it's only Svechnikov from that draft that is ahead of him on this list. So that's really good for Quinn Hughes, for sure that he's on this list, and he's number 11. And if you got Dahlin, I think that he's the second highest defenseman on here after Rasmus Dahlin. So that's really good as well. And Pronman didn't say anything that we didn't know already. Superior edge work, not the fastest skater, but certainly he is fleet of foot. But it's not so much the speed of his skating, rather his elusiveness of his skating, his edge work, his pivoting, his turns, his working on his shot. We know his neutral, the way he can go through the neutral zone, break out of his zone, all those things. Obviously, he's not the biggest guy, so he's gonna have trouble against tougher, stronger forwards. But that's okay. No one's perfect. So I love where Quinn Hughes is at number 11, and to be the second-ranked defenseman on there, that's pretty cool. And then yes, for those of you wondering, Kel Makar is number 13, 2 spots after him, and Miro Heiskanen was number 14. And Shea Theodore is a little too old, but I think we often talk about the big 4 of the young defensemen as Dahlin, Hughes, Makar, and Heiskanen. You can add Shea Theodore, but like I said, he's a little older. But if we go with those big 4, yes, they're all in the top 15, which makes a lot of sense, and that Hughes is ahead of Makar and Heiskanen on this particular list. Didn't help him win the Calder Trophy, but that's okay. I'm over that. So what it says to me is it's really cool that the Canucks have 2 players in the top 15. Top 11 technically. And then you move, and the Canucks' third player on this list is Vasily Podkolzin, and he comes in at number 39. So when you do the math, you'd expect in a perfect world, and I'll get to the flip side of this in a second, in a perfect world, it would take about 93 players for every team to have 3 players in, right? 3 times 31 if it was equally distributed. So instead of having 3 players in the top 93, reverse that numbers. The Canucks have 3 players in the top 39, which is pretty awesome. And that's Vasily Podkolzin. Talks about how hard the guy works, how he's a beast, how he goes to the net, how he's hard to manage, how he's got great determination. The only knock on him was a weird skating style. Maybe we just like to draft weird skaters. I guess if they say Pettersson skates, Pettersson doesn't skate weird. He does what he has to do, but it's not the most clean thing I've ever seen. That's for sure. And Podkolzin very much the same way. But to be at ranked 39th is pretty cool. So 3 Canucks players in the top 39, and then there's a big drop, almost 100 spots, and then you have Niels Hoglander at 136 near the end of this list, and they talk about his skill, his determination as well. Maybe that he gets a little bit too chippy, but that's a maturity thing. But they have Podkolzin as a high-end player, and they have Hoglander as a very good player. So 4 Canucks in the top 136. But then you see where the Canucks start so high, and this is what I was getting at about a minute ago, where they don't end so well, because in 155 players, like I said, the math is 5 times 31 teams, 155. Then technically you should have 5 players on this list. And the Canucks only have 4 after starting so high. So again, Elias Pettersson at 3, Quinn Hughes at 11, Vasily Podkolzin at 39, Niels Hoglander at 136. Canucks fans, let me know what you think about this list. Do you like where Pettersson and Hughes are at number 3 and number 11 respectively? Do you like where Podkolzin is at 39? Do you like where Hoglander is at 136? Do you think, especially those 2 latter guys, too high, too low? Do you think anyone else from the Canucks could be in there? Demko's too old. DiPietro didn't make the cut. So remember, we're looking at players that weren't 23 as of September 15 last month. Would love to hear your feedback on this particular topic. Leave a comment below. I'd love to read, react, and reply as always. Subscribe if you like to. Like this video if you like to. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. God bless, and go Canucks go.